all of you. We are going to spend the next 2 days talking about migrants and forcibly displaced persons, thinking about issues towards greater inclusion and protection. And I think we'll be coming at that theme from a number of different angles.
Refugee crisis can happen anywhere. Even as we see today, all of us are potential refugees. It can happen, and nobody chooses to become a refugee. So what we are expected to do in terms of the research that we receive, in terms of the information that we receive, is then how do we respond to this crisis that are continuously emerging even in the most unlikely places.
Okay, so in terms of next steps, one thing I really feel like about all the research I've done is that it's really focusing on partners, on governments, and those who are based in Juba. And when we do data collection in the field, it's more about what is the impact and what is your experience, but it's not really looking at community members in a more empowered way of how do you make decisions? How are you leveraging resources? Within the challenging context that you're in. And so I think understanding decision-making at the household level is really critical going forward.
In terms of climatic change in the communities, we can have processes as well as events. When you say processes, they may take centuries and decades to see the impacts of that kind of climate changes. And when you say events, that can be like storms and other shocks to the communities. So in my case study, my main concern is climate process resulted displacements or internal migration.
Between June 2020 and April 2021, the Research and Evidence Facility, funded by the European Union Emergency Trust Fund for Africa, in collaboration with Bolto Emerging Markets Group, undertook a study to understand the pathways towards employment and entrepreneurship for refugees in Kenya. This also included, crucially, identifying barriers and opportunities for the private sector to engage substantively in Kenya's refugee hosting areas.
My name is Alpha Mukange. I'm a Congolese refugee. I'm an artist too. I came here in Kenya in 2010. About the medium I'm using to make my work, I use acrylic on canvas, and I get also the experience, the inspiration from African culture, because, you know, African culture is part of my identity.
Because of Haile Selassie's invasion of Somalia in 63-64, my older brother and I migrated to Mogadishu to improve our prospects. When we arrived in Mogadishu, no one thought of us as refugees. Maybe because the word in Somali for refugee did not exist.
The government is in the process of registering an act. They have the Community Group Registration Bill of 2019. It's at the third reading at the Senate stage. That's a win. But unfortunately, we started the policy influence process after the bill had already started being discussed.
So to sum up, in contrast to the imagery on the first slide, moving doesn't have to be something special or exceptional. It can be an unremarkable part of everyday life, development and change, even in contexts of environmental change.
I would like to finish and just thank you all for your attention, and also thanks to Laura and her team again for all the organization and all the presenters and participants for this very valuable event.
This has been an amazing last 2 days. It's been great to learn from you. I think that I really enjoyed the first conference. I think it had a lot of strengths to it, but I've enjoyed this one a lot more, actually.